Yeah, hello. Welcome to the stream. We are gonna talk about 3D modeling software today, and I listed up a few software packages in the video description and asked the guys if they were interested in talking about 3D modeling software and what software they were using. We're gonna go through what we're using in what use case and why maybe we feel some software is working better than others. That's the main topic for tonight. But I want to start with introductions and going from my left to right. I will start with Glenn and Sander. So do your introductions and tell the people about your channel and where to find you.
All right, hello everybody. I'm Glenn.
I'm Xander.
And together we are FunKing3D, and we are a father and son team that do, well, 3D printing and electronic projects. Lately it's only been 3D printing. We haven't done a lot of electronic projects, but it's going to happen. Xander does a segment every week called Xander's Thing Thursdays on Thursday at noon.
Well, it's Xander's Thing Thursdays. It's on Thursdays.
Right, because it has Thursday in the name.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
So, and Xander and I are actually looking to start a large project where we are going to try and print out a full-size R2-D2.
We've been talking about that forever.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of electronic project in that. So that'll be pretty cool. We are found at FunKing3D everywhere: Twitter, FunKing3D, Facebook, FunKing3D, YouTube, FunKing3D. So, is that it?
I think so.
All right, that's us.
Yeah, thanks. Then John, you're next.
Hi, I'm John. Would you do it? I do a bunch of crap. I do everything. So mainly it's been 3D printing, but I built a coffee table. I just build stuff. I use CNC. I write software. I'm a software engineer. So I'm working on a camera slider for Murph. Cat's out of the bag. I've had a couple live streams talking about it. Had a live stream pre-game show today designing the part. It's going pretty well. So anybody who's going to Murph, you'll see it there. And you can find me, you know, my channel on YouTube, but on Twitter, it's u_do_it. On Instagram, I'm u.do.it. And if you would do me a solid, follow me on Twitch. I need 24 more followers. UDOIT2. I'll post a link for it, and then I can become an affiliate on Twitch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Richard, you're next. You're muted. There's
Earth to Richard. Earth to Richard. You're up, brother.
Yep. No, I was dealing with my cat there.
Oh,
yeah, sorry.
Co-host Gus down there. Since the dog is gone, he's thought he can play with other toys. I'm Richard. The channel is Zidim. The information's all lined up here. I really haven't done much in the last couple of months due to health issues, but I'm going into the world of SLA printing, the Pio Polymoia, and most of my work is geared towards working with model trains.
Yeah, thank you. Matt, you're next.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt from How I Do It. Do a little bit of 3D printing, working on getting some woodworking videos shot. I do metalworking, just general DIY. If it's something I can figure out how to do myself, that's what keeps my interest in things. Even if somebody can do it easier than I can, sometimes I like to, if I don't understand something, I like to learn something new about it. Most recently, while Joe Mike Chris Russell from Practical Printing, Richard. While they're getting into SLA printing, I'm stepping back 2 years and trying to master the art of pancake printing. Just last night picked up a pancake bot from a friend who actually got it from Joel. So it's the one that Joel had reviewed in his videos. So I have a stack of pancakes in my kitchen at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. And Joe Mike, you're up.
Okay. It's hot in here. Sorry. My name is Joe Mike. I am in the bathtub. And that's out of more necessity than it is for your entertainment. So bite me. The channel is Joe Mike Terranella on YouTube. I'm on the Twitters at Mojike. I'm on the Instagrams at jterranella. I have a Twitch. I don't use it yet. Anyway, looking forward to Murph. I don't really have any cool projects or anything like that for Murph that I'm bringing. I just figured that I would go and see what everyone else is doing and chat with everybody and see how everyone's been doing. So face-to-faces are always fun. As far as personal stuff, I had to take a trip for a week for my 9-to-5 job, hence why I'm in the bathtub. The road wears me out and I'm sore. So the MakerBox vid for February is what I've got coming up next, working with the Protopasta Copper and coming up with a couple of sweet ideas, kind of showing you how to finish it and stuff like that. So I'm probably not going to talk a whole lot tonight. I'm just going to relax, listen, and learn a little bit about 3D modeling software. And if I slide down like this, I'm just relaxing. It's no big deal. Call 911 if I don't come up in 5 minutes. Okay? All right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but yeah, like I said in the introductions, I want to talk about 3D modeling software, but as you probably know, you're on my channel, 3DP Iceland, and I've been doing a lot of landscape models that I print out and paint, and also doing filament reviews and testing out projects, and I've been modeling some items in Fusion 360 and printing them out to improve my 3D printing experience, and also creating some items around the house for my wife and son. And I've used Fusion 360 exclusively for modeling for 3D printing, but I listed in the video description several programs that I heard people were using, and people are using different software for different types of models, and also they might have background in 3D modeling besides 3D printing. And I wanted to hear from you guys what you were using and what your thoughts were on what software packets were working great for different types of projects. Like there are the organic types of software, like Zbrush, where you do organic models, and then you have Fusion 360 and other software that is like parametric software, where you can do architectural models or functional parts. So I wanted to start a discussion of hearing from you guys what software you are using and maybe why you choose that type of software for your projects. So the word is open.
Well, if nobody's going to jump in, I will, because my background started, well, oddly enough, building a boat many years ago, and the plans were done originally in Rhino and Rhino 3D, and I convinced the company that I worked for that I needed Rhino for some stuff that I was doing at work, so they bought me a license to it. And it, to me, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered where I started. It was all very overwhelming. I had a very hard time thinking in 3D, and Rhino did helped me get there. And so I'm trying to think, this has been probably 20 some odd years ago. So it's been a long time since you know, I started 3D modeling, but even then it wasn't really like, I just did a lot of 2D drawings in there. And then I would use it for just visualizing. If I was going to frame up a shed, I would draw the shed, you know, so that I could see it, you know, so I would do it in 3D. I've just now started in Fusion, and that was only because Joel Telling snickered at me when he found out I was using Rhino 3D and said, "Why do you want to do that to yourself? You should learn Fusion." And so I've been struggling. I've been struggling to learn Fusion because I have an old brain. And
You do have an old brain.
It is pretty old. And I'm so used to the way that things are done in Rhino. And of course, it's different in Fusion. But admittedly, some of the things that I produce in Rhino 3D don't slice well. Like, I'll put it into a slicer and it'll just annihilate it. So I am trying. I'm trying very hard to get into Fusion. So I will take all of the input that you guys can give as far as the best ways to learn things in Fusion. I mean, other than just getting in there and doing it, because that's what I'm doing now, and it's pretty aggravating, I guess would be the word for it. So otherwise, I can't even remember. I've touched a few other things through the years. I can't even remember what they were called. 3ds Max I touched years ago.
It's a good one.
There was a video game called Revolt, which was an RC car game, and people figured out how to hack into it and put their own car bodies and designs in there and stuff. So I started playing with 3ds Max for that, but I never got far with it. I really had a hard time thinking in 3D. So I guess that's my whole story. Xander's story is he plays with Tinkercad, and Joel challenged him to use Fusion, and he hasn't done it yet.
I have to do a solid hour before Murph.
Yeah, Joel the other night told him that he would like him to go in and spend 60 minutes inside of Fusion before Murph.
Not 59 and 59 seconds.
So, but that's my side.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I also got into 3D Studio Max, and even before that came 3D Studio, when it was a DOS-based program, like 25 years ago, I think. And when I was a college student, I had access to that and was modeling all kinds of stuff and doing animations and also modifying. There was a Formula One game, I can't remember what it was, where you could load up the models and you could model the car in 3D Studio, and I used that. So that was yeah, like 25 years ago, I think.
The programs that I primarily use, the one I'm getting more and more proficient at is Fusion, which I think probably will see being a trend amongst most people. With the new desktop that I purchased with Martein's recommendations, I installed Sculptris, and I've been playing with that a little bit more. And I'll tell you what, if you're learning something like Sculptris or Zbrush, the organic modeling software, having a computer that actually runs well is essential. And I'm sure like some of the guys that are using 3ds Max and Rhino probably would say the same thing. It was night and day from trying to do it on the laptop that I had done all my modeling on basically since I got into 3D printing. I've actually found myself not getting frustrated with the organic modeling, sculpting things. And granted, I haven't made anything yet that's printable or that I'd even want to waste the filament on printing, but just starting to toy with it, learn the tools a little bit and tinker with it. I've got some projects in mind that I definitely would like to use Sculptris for, and maybe at some point take advantage of my wife being a teacher and get Zbrush at the teacher student discount.
Yeah, okay. Is that like a push-pull method, like in Zbrush, where you push around?
Yeah, Sculptris is basically just a dumbed-down version of Zbrush. It's the free version of Zbrush, so to speak. It's still made. Shoot, who makes Sculptris in Zbrush? Is it Autodesk that makes them? Or no, Pixel Logic or something. I forget the name of the company now.
Yeah, okay. So Zbrush and Sculptris is the same company.
I believe so. I might be.
Yeah, they are. No, they're the same company. I just
They
figured
are.
it was.
Okay. I was thinking they were because Autodesk has, is it Mudbox and Mesh Mixer would be their two kind of competing programs towards it, at least the ones that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I do a lot in. I started with SolidWorks for 3D printing, but then I switched over to Fusion 360, and I really liked that a lot. The live stream I had before this, I was designing the camera mount in 360. I'm making tweaks to it now before I start to print it, so it's good. If you, Glenn and Xander, if you want a crash course to get you through some things, I've been through the ringer on this. I can show you a lot of tips that, you know, it'll be like a mini class that I can hold for half an hour, however long you want to go.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Maybe one night we can get together on Google Hangouts and kind of walk through some stuff.
Yeah,
So
just make it a live stream. You can stream on your side, host the live stream on your side.
Yeah, well, let's think about that after Murph.
10-4.
I appreciate it.
Rover said in the chat, Pixel Logic is ZBrush and Sculptris, Martin, just in case you're curious and want to look at that.
Yeah.
Well, I've been using SketchUp forever, and that's still what I use primarily, even though it's a massive pain in the tuchus. I've been trying to learn Fusion more and more. For organic modeling, I don't really do any organic modeling, but when I do, it's in a mesh mixer. The Tinkercad is always a good go-to for quick object, but to like edit, other STL files or stuff like that, I just, go with what I know, like Glenn has, and use SketchUp and a couple of plugins from the extension warehouse to aid in whatever. They have a crap ton of extensions to help you with 3D printing models. So models that are extensions that are good to help you make models more printable, I guess you could say. And yeah, so I'm getting pruny, so I'm going to go ahead and kill the camera and get out of the tub.
Well, 1 second before you do that, Joe Mike, because I have a question for you with SketchUp. I heard that the files that come out of SketchUp as STLs don't translate well, that there's a lot of problems with them as far as slicing them up and printing them. Is there any truth to that?
If you use just the, so what? The tub is draining around me. I'm about to get really cold here in a second. So if you just get the plugin, because natively SketchUp won't export an STL file. You have to get a plugin that handles importing and exporting of STL files. And if you don't do any corrections to the mesh in SketchUp, your STL file has a good chance of having flipped faces and open faces and a bunch of other things that make printing nigh impossible, because once you import it into like Simplify 3D and especially Slice or PE, you start to see all the open faces because they don't come in, or you see reverse faces because they come in wrong. So there's an actual toolbox you can get, a virtual toolbox, another plugin that I don't have off the top of my head, but what it does is you run it on your model, it goes through and it checks the mesh. It goes through and checks the faces and the connections to make sure that you don't have any open, anything open into the interior where it should be joined. It makes sure that all your faces are going the proper directions, and it highlights it so you can go correct it. And a lot of it can auto correct. So if you run all that, you're usually okay to go.
Hey, Jim, one other thing real quick before you go. Josh from Design Make Teach said that you need at least a 3D printed bath soap holder to make your stream a little bit more close to topic.
I need a 3D printed rubber ducky.
There you go.
I 3D print. I just go down and grab one of my benchies.
You need one of those the floating benchies that Ada Fruit and a couple other people have featured here last week or so.
Yeah. Well, I'm not hopping off the stream. I'm just turning the camera off so you don't see the bits and pieces, and also probably muting the mic so you don't hear any nasty anything. So I'll be back.
We'll see you in a bit, Joe Mike.
Yeah, thanks.
So can I share my desktop? How do I do that?
Top of your left hand side, there's a green box with a white arrow in it.
Is my desktop sharing now?
Yep, I see myself.
So I'm using, this is a mount. This goes on the end of two pieces of extruded aluminum, 40 series, very heavy gauge extruded aluminum for the camera slider. A stepper motor is going to mount right here. The body of it will be here. I did all this in Fusion 360. I started with a sketch, and I'm not happy right now with the width of this. Like if I measure, I can hit I, and I can literally measure these 2 points, and it tells me it's 9.6. And the basis of this was created with a sketch, which you can see behind. I can literally grab that through the surface and then drag it to the right, and it'll change. Well, I don't know why I can't do it now. Maybe I can do it on the other side. But it lets me change the drawing on the fly. Let me edit sketch. I can right-click on this. I think, let me get out of that mode. There we go. So now I can, let's say I drag it all the way out here, and it'll automatically adapt the model that was created from that sketch, which is awesome. But then beyond that, I can start playing with the sketch. So like this part here, I created by splitting the model first, and then I extruded just this face right here. I extruded that outward, and then took this feature that was from this point here straight and moved the face upward at an angle of 25 degrees. And then I did a fillet in here. It's just so cool, the things that I can do in here. And I'm about to model this up in a slicer and print it with some carbon fiber. So that's it. But it's Fusion 360 is free for anybody if you have a company profit less than 100,000. So go for it.
Yeah, if you're either a student or a startup that is not over 100,000 US, then you can get the free license, and that's really cool for this powerful software. Yeah.
Richard, what are you using for your trains and stuff?
Fighting with my system here, but I use a stack of software, and I just had to do a reboot because I had everything up and running. But it all depends what you're doing. If you're working with a part for a locomotive, Fusion 360 really I find has no equal for mechanical work. I quite like that. It's easy to use. There's a great community out there for it. A lot of tutorials, so it's a great way to progress. But if you get into organic things, then it's a variety of packages. And I'll take a minute to get these up, but I'll do that shortly. But with the organics, depends what I'm doing. There's one area I like. I've been talking about it almost for a year. I love horses. I used to be part of a therapeutic riding program. I used to ride and volunteer there. So, and I grew up with horses, so I love horses. So rather than modeling a horse from scratch, I use DAZ 3D. And what I should actually do before I get into it is I'll let somebody else talk. I'll get the stuff up and running, then I can show you what I'm doing.
While Richard's doing that, I'll show current project that I'm working on in Fusion 360. I posted a little bit about it on Twitter the other day. It's this baby gate system. So this is going to actually, these brackets are going to be 3D printed, and they'll clamp to my wall between my living room and my kitchen. And I'm actually utilizing, if I can get this thing to play, let me bring that up full screen.
Oh, that's cool.
It's actually the side of the crib for my daughter. We just converted my youngest daughter's crib to a toddler bed. So rather than putting this piece up in the attic, I'm printing these brackets where this thing's sliding along the wall is actually going to be behind my couch. So it'll slide across, and I still haven't figured out on the far side what I want to do for a locking mechanism yet. But what I'm doing is sort of, if you picture C-clamps, that's basically what I've got here. And I'm using a TPU, I don't know what you'd want to call it, but the pieces that touch the wall that actually clamp onto the wall are going to be printed in TPU. Everything else is probably going to be ABS or maybe even PETG. I might go with PETG just for the being easier to print. You just screw the knob in and it'll clamp to the wall, and the gate will slide in between all that.
Hey, Matt, did you do that whole animation and everything right in Fusion?
I literally just did this animation while we were streaming.
But is it in, like, does Fusion create that?
Yep.
Yeah, you can do animation in Fusion. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just click on animation, and you can make it. You can do a camera follow and all kind of stuff. Hey,
yeah, it's interesting to get the hang of it, but once you start to like realize, you basically move the slider across the timeline and then adjust your view, and every step that you make in the view, it takes and splits that up. So if you tell it, I want this step to take 2 seconds, and then you make 5 rotational changes in it, it will take all those movements and smooth them out over the 2-second period or 5 seconds, whatever you tell it to take.
Are you making a video on how you did this?
I probably will. Just because I haven't seen a lot of people in 3D printing community do it. Yep. And it is kind of useful. Like stuff like this, I showed this to my wife, and she was able to visualize exactly what I was talking about doing with the gate. As she saw it, she jumped right on board with it.
What about the bottom channel? Are you doing the same thing for the bottom channel?
For what?
Well, because if you're small, you can push the bottom and leverage the gate out. So if you do the same thing that you're doing at the top, you do it at the bottom.
Yeah, you're
can
talking
print pieces and put them on the bottom, right?
Yeah, not sure exactly how I want to, if I'm going to do something like that or not. Because the gate, I'm going to print, I haven't designed them yet, but I'm going to print wheels that go under the gate and actually mount to it. Because what I'm trying to go for is reusing the existing mounting hardware that's already on the gate, or on the crib railing. That way, not that we plan to have any kids anymore, but if there's an oops or whatever, I can put the crib back together again. So I'm looking at rolling wheels for that. Again, 3D printed, probably using TPU just to keep them quiet on the hardwood floor.
Yep.
So I don't know if I'm going to do anything down low or if I'm just going to let it be up top.
So Ron, Brew It, Print It, Build It, Blast It in the chat wanted to know if it's motorized, which then makes me think that not only should it be motorized, it should make the noise that the doors on Star Trek make.
Oh, dude. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to hook a Raspberry Pi up to that.
There you go. Put a stepper motor on the back side of it that drives it across the floor.
Yeah. Neiman 34. 487 ounces of torque.
Yeah, that's great project. I didn't know about the animation part in Fusion. That's great to know.
Yeah, if you remember when I did the Eagles logo, I did a little bit of animation, and that was all from within Fusion 360. And you can take the pieces, you can drag them, and it'll just do the keyframes just like you do in After Effects or Adobe Premiere. It'll interpolate from the start point and the end point of whatever you're doing.
Yeah. I did.
I think.
Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say, I think there's a lot more in Fusion that I need to learn before I start to do animations.
I literally just learned how to do those animations in the last week. I have a ton to learn with Fusion, and every time I use it, I learn something new.
Yep, same here.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Angus' videos on Fusion. It's 3D modeling 101 in Fusion. It was a good video source.
What I'd like to see is one of the 3D printing guys, and I know Garrett over at Chaos Cortex been doing it on his live streams and stuff. I'd like to see more of a tutorial on the organic modeling, like Sculptris and Zbrush and stuff like that. Just because that's something that I'm looking towards. And I mean, there's plenty of videos out there. The thing that those videos aren't really geared towards is 3D printing, which, I mean, really, for the most part, that's just dealing with your overhangs and things like that to make something 3D printable. But I'd really like to see one of the 3D printing guys do like a tutorial series on, and when I say guys or gals, do a tutorial on that. And I know Vert Vixen, she's one of the cosplayers that does a lot of 3D printing. She's starting to do some tutorials. I was just talking to her a week or two ago. She kind of got out of it with the holidays and stuff, but she wants to get back into it again and get those videos up and going again.
Well, ZBrush is one of the packages I've been trying to get into, and I've been finding it very difficult to get into its headspace. I've started doing 3D work back in about 1990, and so certain ways of doing things sort of are ingrained in my brain, and ZBrush doesn't work that way. It is of use, though. If I finally have this up and running, this is in Hexagon, one of the packages I use, and not the way I was going to talk about it, but since you mentioned ZBrush, one of the problems I had, this is a scan of me, and when they did the scan, looks like the back of my head's been caved in.
The exact same thing happened to mine.
And what I did with this is I dumped it into ZBrush. I just tried opening it up, and ZBrush doesn't like it when I got everything running, so it'll run on its own. But I use ZBrush to actually keep the organic look, to raise this hair up, and it comes out quite successful. Whereas some of the other packages I played with, you lose the organic look to it. But the reason I use this one, this is Hexagon. It's a free package. It is a partner program to another package I use, which is DAZ3D. Now, I mentioned horses earlier on. This horse is a fully rigged horse. It's a purchased horse. If I can get the right screen up here. DAZ 3D is a free program. Where they make their money is selling you models. And they have their own artwork, and if you're a modeler, you can put it on their gallery and sell your models there. And you do, depends on the model, have the right to do the printing of it, as long as you're not turning it into a commercial product. So this is perfect for someone like me, who I'm looking for the horses, wagons, what have you. If I want something in a hurry, I can come in here, buy it off the store, dump it into DAZ, do the modeling with it, see if I can do anything with the posing here. Every time I try to do something here we go. See, you move the horse parts around. This is just generic movement. You can get into very detail. You can move each individual ear, what have you. So when you're modeling and you want stacks and stacks of horses put on your fields, this is perfect. You make the position change, you print it, you can change gender, you can have the pregnant mares, you can shrink them down to ponies, what have you. So this saves me from starting from scratch. So it's a great tool for the way I do things. Now, once again, it's tied right in with Hexagon, sister project. There is a feature in here I've not learned how to use yet, and that is clothing, where you can create an object and drape cloth around it, and it'll drape properly. It'll have folds in it and everything else. So that's part of the learning curve I have in front of me, because I want to trying to see if I can. One problem with using tons of packages, see, I keep remembering what the controls are for that particular package. But yeah, show the gut. That's the one problem with getting a full scan. It shows you what you are. But anyways, I'm wearing a shirt. You have the cloth on here. That will show up in the O scale that I work with. So I have this because it's me, but I can take figures and change the clothing on it and print them out. Because I'm focused on pre-World War I, and there's not a lot of models out there for it. So you have to work, break things, bring things in, modify them to have the look. Like one thing, if you look at the pictures, actually up to Kennedy, everybody wore a hat, men and women. Kennedy didn't like hats, so it was no longer fashionable to wear one. But if you're doing anything previous to that, your figures should have hats on. And the style of hat varies through time. So you can take a lot of the models that are out there and make hats for them. Or, of course, the guys I have sitting here are all wearing hats. This is a standard, you know, cheap O-scale figurine. It has the same punch I have. If I didn't like the hat style, I'd make the hat, make the organic look to it within DAZ or in Hexagon here, and then just print out new hats for these guys. And they'll fit them in. Actually, a lot of engineers wore bowlers, even in North America at that time. So, so it's a useful package. But as I said, for the truly organic look, when you want to do things, well, it can be done in, oh, heck, come on, brain. I know I got it on here. What's the one Vicky uses?
Blender.
Blender, yes. You can do all sorts of things in Blender. This is a similar package. This is DAZ is really geared towards animation, and you're just starting to move to 3D. But Blender has a different marketing model and doesn't have the marketplace for getting models. But even in Blender, through the organics here, they don't match what you can do in ZBrush. And what I've seen in ZBrush is fantastic. What I've little been able to do, like fixing up my head on another model of this, it looks wonderful. So that's the way to go for the organics.
Yeah, ZBrush, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Richard, but like ZBrush, Sculptris, even Mesh Mixer to an extent, Mesh Mixer a lot less so. Basically, the analog version of that, it would be molding with clay, using clay to mold things. The only difference is you don't have the tactile feel, I guess, unless maybe there's devices out there that give you the tactile feel. I'm not sure.
Well, first of all, Sculptris is the pared down version of ZBrush. So you get some of the tools, but not all of them. Yeah. So it's a limited version and it's free. And that's what convinced me to go to full-blown ZBrush. ZBrush is not a free package, but for about $300 US, you get ZBrush and a Wacom tablet. So it's a package. So that's what both Brenna and I have. Neither of us has mastered the use of it. There's just way too much software out there. But they start, when you open up the home screen, you start with a ball. And that represents your ball of clay. And you start modeling with it. And that's where it goes. I have a device here. It came out several years ago. I got as this was pre-Kickstarter, with the same idea. And it was a device made by a fellow who was a potter. And he wanted to work his hands on it. And it's a little sensor that you put in front of you, and you can move things around in that. It doesn't work all that well. But that had the idea of you could model in space. Back in the 90s, at the SIGGRAPH event in Vegas, I got to put on one of those virtual systems. You got the goggles and you got the gloves. And with the gloves, you can do that same sort of thing.
Right.
The only thing is, when you're done, you have to go sit down for a while because you do it while you're standing. If you don't go sit down, you start walking into things because you've been moving through an area and moving things around. But it's ZBrush, I think, and gloves or some sort of sensor like that would be ideal.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my biggest holdup with it. I mean, like, if you set a block of clay in front of me, I can mold that by hand any way I want it to be. And there's a huge gap between the analog of using clay and stuff like that to going digital and sculpting. And that's the part where now that I've got a computer that runs smooth and responds to all my actions, there's still that brain gap of I can't feel what I'm doing. And that's the part that I'm still like, I toy with it from time to time when I'm bored and I don't have anything else to do, which unfortunately means I'm not learning a lot quickly because I rarely have the time to sit down and do it. But that's the thing that I'm trying to overcome. And I know Mike, NLTMW in the chat, he's been kind of following along with Garrett's live streams and learning ZBrush as he goes. And he's starting to fall in love with it. I'm not sure if, and maybe he'll comment in the chat, if he had that overcoming the gap between analog and digital with doing stuff like that. But it's cool to see, like what you did with the horse, where you can reposition it. You model it once and you can very quickly reposition it, and now you have multiple positions, different looking horses for the scenery or however you end up using them. That part's kind of got some interest by itself.
Now, rig models, if you get started with yourself, all depends on the package. There's a lot of work to doing it, to getting that rig model started. But once you have that, if you're starting from scratch, you can do so much being able to position it. I don't have that on this system. Actually, I think it was on the laptop I lost in the flood. And of course, I didn't have a backup of that. Did an animation of a cat walking across the screen. And you get all the full pose, motion, movement, everything else. But it's a ton of work to get the rigging correct. But yeah, it's this model I'm looking at right now. Problem is with it is it's going to take a lot of work to get this guy here to look anywhere but straight ahead, because I was standing in basically an oversized phone booth, looking very serious. So it was not the greatest pose for a model. And I do want to do this. I may chop my head off here and put it onto models that have been posed in other positions. So they have different bodies and probably ones that don't have a paunch, like this one. But the joy of cheating in the 3D world. But to go in and rig this now would be a major challenge. And there's a ton of software out there, and it's a whole new field. It's a hobby itself, just doing that. And that's where the DAZ 3D came in. You know, it's been around for ages. There's a couple other packages out there I used to use starting back on the Amiga computer in the 90s, and they're still around, converted to PCs and Macs, those worlds. But as I say, you can do that full time. When our hobby here has been, we want to print the stuff. And so we don't want to spend as much time doing the modeling. And so that's where something like DAZ is a good shortcut to get into.
Yeah, no, when I was playing around with 3D Studio Max back in the day, you could like create a skeleton inside the model, and then you attach the different pieces of the model to different bones in the skeleton, and then you could define what was normal movement, and then you could make the model like run around and within the constraints you defined. So it was quite a lot of work to create that skeleton and attach it to the actual model. So every vertex in the model is bound to the correct bone, as to speak.
Yeah, there was a software called Poser that would let you do that with people. Like you could model people in different positions and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Rover's asking if I can put this into DAZ. There we go. And I'm just selecting the object. I will do that for you in a moment, Rover, so someone else can talk for a moment.
Richard, is your scan, is that 1-to-1? The scan itself, is it scaled 1-to-1 to life size?
I don't know what ratio they use. This was at a booth at the Comic Expo in Calgary last year.
Okay. I know the scan, the handheld scan that I did with the Xbox Kinect, when I was just screwing around with that, playing with Kinect. I printed one on my CR10. That was the first big thing I printed, and it turned out to be at 100% scale to the model. Ended up being maybe more like 105% of life size, so it's just a little bit bigger, which is kind of cool because the whole reason I printed that was to be able to experiment with foam smithing and making helmets that way and stuff. So it works perfect. It gives just a little bit of cushion room, wiggle room for a helmet or something that I use that for to actually fit right rather than fit really tight.
Yeah.
I was just curious about yours.
Yeah, I have a scanner called Sense version 2, and that outputs STL files, and I think they're 1-to-1 scale, at least when
So I did my scan with the Kinect, and then last year at Nova Maker Fair, which for anybody Northern Virginia, DC, Maryland area is coming up next Sunday. There's David Preet, the artist that's doing a 3D printed American flag with scans of people's heads that he comes across at these at the maker fairs and different functions he goes to. He did a scan for me and emailed it to me using the Sense scanner like you have, Martin. And I haven't really done anything with it. I downloaded the files, and they've just been sitting there.
Yeah, it's not very detailed scanner, but it works for fun projects. And if you have a static object, you can get pretty decent quality. But with live objects, like I've tried to scan my cats, and if they move a little bit during the scan will knock off. And so if you're scanning like a person, you have to be extremely still while you're doing it. So that's the main challenge, because you get maybe if you turn the head a little bit, your nose will be in two places, and so it's not very intelligent, the software behind it.
Yeah, the software, we tried to do my daughter, and she was just barely 5 years old at the time. And yeah, the software did not like her.
Yeah. Yeah. I gave up on my cats. I was trying to scan them. They were always looking at the device, so their head would turn. And
yeah, I've seen people do like their cats, their dogs. I'm just thinking, did you like take them to the vet and bring them home after like surgery and they're like medicated? Because my dogs would never sit still for something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I was like, the output of those files are like organic models, and I was trying to clean them up with a mesh mixer program where you could push down on the model to if the part of the hair was standing out, or like on Richard's model, the back of the head was incaved. You could use mesh mixer to some extent. But
yep.
I've seen the Zbrush tools are much more sophisticated in that regard. So
yeah, that's exactly how I fixed the Connect scan of my head. Took it into Mesh Mixer because at the time that was really the only software that I knew. And that's probably a little over a year ago that I did that. I had the exact same problem Richard had. The back of my head looked like it was the Grand Canyon in the back of my head. But Mesh Mixer allowed me to pull it out. And I mean, when I print it, you can tell it's deformed a little bit. I didn't get it perfect, but it's good enough. Which is a good point. Mesh Mixer is actually a really powerful tool if you learn how to use it. Modifying STLs, or if you just want to play a little bit with organic modeling.
Yeah, I use it mostly to cut down models, and also if there is the issue with the faces turning inside out and the manifold is not correct, it can detect the errors in the model and fix them. So sometimes when you download a model from Thingiverse or my manufacturer, the slicer program will just have no idea what to do with it. It's just holes all over the model. Then I use Mesh Mixer to fix the issues. But I haven't done much of the modeling part except just fixing models and slicing scans up.
Yeah, with Mesh Mixer, you said about downloaded models and stuff. If you have issues with them, a lot of times you can catch the issues with models where things aren't going to print right if you watch step for step the G-code output from the slicer. Like Simplify 3D, you can run it through the simulated print, and you can see as it's building up, there's parts that just like print completely in midair because it's multiple shells, things like that. Something for anybody who's watching now or in the future rewatching this. Mesh Mixer can be used if you have a print that just seems to continuously fail at the same spot. Run it through Mesh Mixer using the Analyze tool and see if it picks up on errors in the model that can explain print failures that you just simply can't explain otherwise. Things you don't see in the slicer.
Yeah, sometimes it looks like a whole layer is missing. So there's just a gap throughout the model. Mesh Mixer will catch that and fix that for you.
Yep. Catching up on chat again.
Yeah, I'm still using Fusion 360. It's been a long time since I used Blender. I'm not good at organic modeling. Like, I can paint a landscape, but I can't draw a human, barely draw an animal, so I don't know if I'd be any good with that stuff. I'm really good with, like, straight lines. If you tell me to add a fillet, I can do that. A chamfer, yeah, but like, I'm like the utility type guy. You need me to build you a wrench, I'm your guy.
Yeah, I had the same experience trying to make anything lifelike, like a try to model something that is in real life, organic model. I'm terrible with that, but parametric modeling in Fusion 360 is very logical to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and that's kind of back to the going with the organic modeling. That's where I have my biggest downfall is I can see things, like John said, straight lines mechanically. I can see things in my head as I'm laying them out in Fusion 360, enough to just generate a sketch of what I'm thinking of and then start extruding things out from there. And I'm sure when it comes to Fusion, like I said, I've got a lot to learn, but I can always get to the end result that I'm looking for when it's mechanical or, as John put it, straight lines. That stuff I have no problem with. The organic side of things, John, you said about not being able to draw. I can't draw for crap either. But it's hard to visualize. Like, if I'm trying to model something off of a picture using the organic software, I have a heck of a time just trying to translate that 2D picture to what I want in 3D when you're talking organically. Most of the contracted work that I get, I'm using Fusion 360 for it, and a lot of times I take a piece of graph paper, the paper with the squares on it, and lay the item down on that, take pictures of it, so that the person that I'm doing it for can take it back with them. And then I use those. The squares act as my reference for measurements, and some of the other stuff I'll take measurements and jot down notes on it. But that's usually the way I end up doing things that I don't have the part in hand. Or if somebody's 100 miles away from me, I tell them to take a piece of graph paper, measure the squares, and take straight on pictures and send it to me. I have no problem modeling stuff like that.
Yeah, I find it amazing. I've been watching Garrett at Chaos Cortec doing his modeling in Zbrush, and also he has been doing organic models with a sculpt feature in Fusion 360. So he's doing even like organic modeling in Fusion 360 with a sculpture tools there.
Joe Mike, Tony Ryan said in the chat, I don't know if you can see it now where with the setup you're doing, he wants somebody to model your head for him so he can make a bathtub bobblehead.
That'd be fun. But then I can just, if someone wants to bring a 3D scanner over, we can just take a scan of me in the tub. It's 10 o'clock here, and I spent 6 hours on the road, so I'm gonna head to bed. I'm beat.
Yeah, we can tell. Yep.
So,
Stay safe, man. Get some sleep.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yep. See you, Joe
thanks
Mike.
for letting me take a bath in front of you all.
Good night, Joe Mike.
It's a special
Did
kind
you see
of
my tweet?
special kind of bond that we all share. I love it.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Thanks,
Well,
everybody.
if you want to find me on the internet, just Google Joe Mike. I just Googled my name, and you'll pretty much find all the things that I just said. So
Bathtub.
just Google me. Night. See you guys.
See ya. Yeah, how is it, Glenn, in Rhino in regard of organic models or mechanical parts? What's the
Yeah,
main focus?
I wouldn't know anything about the organic modeling because I suck at it. I like nice crisp lines as well, very mechanical. Everything I've ever produced has been square except for the the fillets and the
We're not on the
campers.
artistic side.
Yeah, definitely I'm not artistic at all, but I mean Rhino handles all of that. I mean people have modeled, cars and all kinds of stuff. It's a very meshy. It's a very mesh program. So, and then there's add-ons to it, and I'm trying to think of what they're called. I want to say there's one called Flamingo, and there's another one, Grasshopper maybe, that allows you to do all kinds of rendering and stuff out of there. But I've never really taken it that far. So, I mean, I've always used it for the mechanical aspect of it. I can't think of anything that I've ever. Everything has been just straight mechanical out of there. So, but that's the way my brain works.
Yeah. It's interesting. Before I got sick, I was asked to do some work for a jeweler, and it was very organic work. Unfortunately, health got in the way. But it all depends what you're doing, because some of the other things he wanted was straightforward and easy to do in Fusion. But the organic stuff, once again, Hexagon was where I started it. Rover asked about bringing me into the DAS package, and I got frustrated doing that. I know I've done it in the past. My brain's not there right now. But here's the horse I've brought into Hexagon, and I could do the modeling with it in here as well. So it all depends what package will work for what you're doing. The other thing about this, and it comes in with the organics, I've found that, especially with what I'm dealing with, your standard FDM printing, which 90% of us do, the organics didn't come across very well. Whereas with the SLA, it's amazing the quality that you get. So once again, it depends what you want to do. Decide what you want to do, and then take a look at what's out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of detail in those models that you have of those horses.
Well, the part that I love about it the best is with the posing. You can pose the ears, and if you work with horses, you know that if you want to know what the horse is up to, you look what the ears are doing. So you can get to play with that sort of language, and then you can print it. Where are we here? That one. You can get the detail in a small model, which with the FDM, I just wasn't getting it. I don't know if that's focusing at all on there, but it's the details there. It prints out nicely, and you can do it.
Yeah, also those small legs are difficult on FDM.
If I can find another cable here, I will show you the legs. Here. And bear with me a moment. When my system reboot, did the reboot, it wiped all my settings on my Stream Deck. And that just happened just now. So let's see where we want that one there. Let's just see if this will work for us now. Yep, we got that up and running. So if I can get my fingers to work right, you can see that, there's the detail. It prints it out. It keeps it quite nicely. To get an idea of the scale, here's a US dime.
Wow.
Yeah, well.
So there's the ears on top of the dime. I had to get this little, it's a USB microscope, had to get it so you can actually see the detail that you're able to print with this thing.
That's crazy.
That was on the Moai.
Yeah, that's the Moai. And if I go up a little bit, you know, just for this is a mule, and you can see the harness printed separately. You know, it is part of the same print, but it is off the horse. It is.
There's hardly any. I barely see any lines. What do you have that at? 250X? Or 200X? I mean, it is so smooth. It's crazy.
I'm sorry. I have been so ill for the last 2 months. I can't remember.
No, it's good. I mean, the fact that you got the time there, I mean, that's enough comparison.
So,
so that's not primed or anything, right?
This one's primed.
It is primed. Okay.
This one's primed. So you can see there's some flakes on it. And that's due to the fact that this is primed with what I had at the time, automotive primer.
Okay.
This is the white resin.
Now, have you found with anything that you're doing on the SLA printer that using like the automotive filler primer to cover detail too quickly?
Yeah, that's where I went to. I have some fine primer now.
Okay.
Ordered that in. So the choice of paints, of course, you want to use modeling paints with this stuff, where you have fine pigment to get in there. Now the other stuff that we've done, like Brenna printed a sword, I think she showed off on one of our streams, and it's what, 3.5 feet long, and that was printed on the Prusa, welded together with a 3D pen for the welding, and then primed and sanded. Unfortunately, she ran out of time because she wanted to do more coats, more sanding to smooth it out. But it was that Comic Expo that we were going to. So the Prusa printer was up and running just days before the expo, and that was the first thing she printed and got going. And unfortunately, about 4 weeks ago, or maybe a little bit longer, Gus charged into it, knocked it over, and broke it in half. So it broke at one of the weld points, so she can put it together when she picks it up next time. Hopefully we'll get her back in on a stream, her and her significant other, Peter, because both of them, movie industry background. Peter has much experience with the arts. Also, he's part of the 501st, which is the Star Wars troops that have very detailed stormtrooper armor, and so he's done a lot of cosplay work, and he tried Fusion 360. His first sitting made this fantastic pistol from one of the last Star Wars movies, printed it, I think, in 14 or 15 pieces, and screwed it all together and went, oh, Fusion 360 works, and it looks fantastic. So I'd like to just have him come in and say how they're using it for what they do.
Cool.
And I am losing my voice, so I'm not going to hang on much longer.
Do you want to do an outro real quick, Richard, just in case you do need to drop off?
Okay, yeah, I think I should do that before I fall off the chair. My name's Richard. The stream is Zidim on YouTube. When I get back at it, I will be live on Wednesdays at Wednesday mornings. It's going to be a few more weeks, though, unfortunately, but I do pop on there, and I am trying to get more content up and running. All the contact information should be showing up down below us here, and one of these days I'll get to one of your makers fairs, and you'll be able to identify me because I'll have my hat on. So I have to model one of these too.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's like starting to get like a signature for your channel. Is that?
Yeah, I have another icon that I've used for years, but I picked this up at that Comic Expo, and between it and my beard, and it just sort of settled in there. So I loved it. Halloween, I walked around and people said, "You're not just wearing that for Halloween. You should be wearing that full time." So I'm gonna get this one's costume grade. A real one's going to cost me about $300, but I got some printer stuff to order first. I have my priorities.
Does anybody have any other modeling software that they're using that they want to talk about? If not, I have a question.
I'm just Fusion 360, so beyond doing Maya and everything else when I was younger, no. So good. What software is out there that you guys want to learn that you're not either already learning or just something that's got your interest peaked? Like for me right now, it's kind of Sculptris and stuff. I wouldn't consider that I'm actually learning Sculptris yet, but is there anything out there that you guys have heard about, you see other people using, that you'd like to download and try that you have yet to really, even if you have it downloaded and installed, you have yet to really open it up and try it out? Yeah, Zbrush for me.
Yeah, same for me. Zbrush would be the program I would love to get my head around. But, I've tried to do like some basic sculpturing in the Mesh Mixer program, but I haven't tried Zbrush, but that definitely is the program I would try to use if I would get into organic modeling.
Yeah, I would like to learn morphi.
Xander had a chance to play with morphi at the meetup before New York Maker Faire, and they now have a version. It was on Apple, and I don't do Apple, but they now have a version for Windows. So we're going to get that installed for him so that he can start to play with that. And of course, it's low grade. You know, it's beneath all of you guys.
Have you guys tried what is it? Is it Doodle Draw or Doodle 3D? I think it's Doodle 3D. Heather from 3D Pink Mafia and Apire Design, she was posting about it. They have their 6-year-old daughter, 6 or 7-year-old daughter using that. It's basically morphi, but works on, it's a internet-based, browser-based application, but does pretty much everything that morphi did. Because morphi's for what, 3 years? 3 years now, I think they've been saying that there's an Android app coming. There's an Android app coming, and they have yet to actually produce it. Doodle 3D. I'm gonna have to look it up and tell you for sure what it is. But take a look at that.
Yeah, I made a note so I can look for it, but I don't know. I seen on Twitter yesterday, maybe the day before, that morphi has a Windows version, which is cool with me. So
yeah, I'm looking at their website. They have a 50-day trial. You could sign up and has a Windows version.
And the one I was talking about, that is Doodle 3D. Just go to doodle3d.com. Now, it's not fully free either. You can play with it for free, but to like export STLs and stuff for 3D printing, you have to. It's not much. I think it's like $20 or something like that. To be able to export for 3D printing.
But Doodle 3D, yeah. I'm just typing it in the video description for later reference.
Yep. That's what I've actually started Dixie out on. I put a bookmark to it on her Chromebook that she has, and I have her playing with that. And I told her, I said, once you print or just draw something up that you want printed, then we'll buy the subscription to it and we'll print out her drawing. But she has yet to actually do something that she wants to print, but she's just having fun learning how to use it so far. So anybody who's looking for something that's Android or Chromebook capable, that's an option for you too.
Yeah, this looks a little beneath Xander. I mean, he's a world-renowned designer with
look at the smirk on his face.
the skyrocket that so many people are printing now. And Nere's sent me a message today. He's actually modeling Xander's rocket for flight. He's actually going to make it launchable.
My rocket shall go to the moon.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Now you added another 60 minutes to your Fusion 360 modeling time.
The one cool thing about Morphi, so like for kids, the local makerspace in Lancaster, PA, Make 717. When they go to events, they have a couple of iPads set up, and they let the kids come over and use the Morphi app to draw out a design, and then they send it off to usually it's another room, especially if it's an outdoor event. They usually get a local business that lets them set up a bunch of 3D printers, and they send the model over to the guys running the printers, and depends on the amount of interest at the show, but typically about a half hour, 45 minutes later, the kids can go pick up their print. That was actually our first time actually seeing 3D printers in person 3 or 4 years ago now. And my daughter was two or three at the time. And she got to design and print her very first 3D model. After that, it didn't take too long, and I was saving up the money for a printer.
Yeah, my son came home from a fab lab. He went there with his school, and he designed in Tinkercad a small cat and brought it home, 3D printed. And after looking at it for 10 minutes, I was totally hooked. I had to get into this.
Ron, brew it, print it, build it, blast it. Asked if an STL model can be imported into Fusion 360. Yes and no. You can import them into Fusion. And Tony Ryan did. I just saw it in the chat. Tony Ryan said about converting it to a brep file in Fusion. I personally haven't had a lot of good experience with trying to modify an STL inside Fusion. I've used it already to Boolean remove from something else. It is possible, but like I said, from my experience, it's kind of finicky.
Yeah, I try to use it that if the model has high detail, Fusion is very ill-equipped to handle the brep if it's like many sides on the model. Like if it's an organic model, it's not working very well, and it's quite difficult to actually do something with it. If it's a complex model, it's nearly impossible to import it in full detail. So it's not very good for that.
Yeah, if you watch a lot of people who watch videos from the people who do organic modeling, whether it's for animation or 3D printing or whatever, a lot of times you'll see them decimate. I believe that's the term, decimate an object, which is removing a lot of the triangles, the polygons from it. Fusion, like Martin was saying, Fusion tends to break with high detail. You have to remove a lot of the polygons from the model in order to even be able to do anything with it. Depending on what it is, you start to lose quality in that case.
Yeah, when I was doing my MakerCoin, I had a 3D scan of my head from images, and that was very high detail, and I was enabled to manipulate the files in Fusion and used Max Mixer to reduce the amount of polygons. But when I was coming down to the level of polygons Fusion could handle, all the details in the model were pretty much gone. So I ended up creating a MakerCoin in Fusion 360 and merging that to the 3D model of my head in Mesh Mixer. So I never brought the head of myself into Fusion 360.
Hey, I'm gonna step out for a minute. I will be back in like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Wow, and then it got really quiet up in here all of a sudden. That means Matt talks too much.
let me tell you a little bit about my camera slider. So, it's 2 rails of extruded aluminum, really heavy gauge, which I could probably stand on an 8-foot span. And I don't think it'll deflect that much. It's using a linear bearing, and it's being controlled by a ramps board. And I have 2 stepper motors that I'm mounting on the opposing sides, and they'll spin together to run the GT2 belt. And I have a Raspberry Pi that's communicating over USB to the ramps board, sending G code that'll tell it to go at like, I don't know, 90 inches over the course of 20 minutes or something. So that's, I tested that theoretically. I can watch the stepper motors move at a very slow rate. I just don't know what the torque is, and if it's going to be sufficient enough to overcome the static friction, which there's very little because it's that ultra high density plastic that has a very low coefficient of friction. But that's my project for Murph. So that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. Yeah, what's your stream earlier tonight on the model?
Yeah, that was the end cap I was designing for the extruded aluminum, and I think I printed 20 pieces to get it just right, because the tolerance between the 2 pieces of extruded aluminum, if you're off by like a 0.1 millimeter, it causes it to bind up.
Yeah.
Because it's a double flange linear bearing. That's why there's not much room for being off.
So this is a piece that I designed in Fusion 360 tonight. I originally designed it in Rhino, and when I printed it, for whatever reason, at the time I didn't know, but when I took it off, I flexed it like this, and this rib right here, I don't know, can you guys see that? That rib just peeled right off of there. And
Ooh.
What it was doing was it was printing this top all the way to here. And then it was printing this rib on top of that. So I thought it was something I did in Rhino. So I tried a couple different things, and then I went into the slicer and it was still doing it. And I got irritated. So I redesigned the whole thing in Fusion 100%, which I'm pretty proud of because I don't really know Fusion yet. And it did exactly the same thing in the slicer. And so I sliced it in Cura, and it fixed the problem.
And you learned Fusion 360 out of necessity. So you thought necessity.
Yep. So yeah, because Slicer Prusa edition was causing me issues, it forced me to learn some more Fusion. So, but I mean, it turned out really nice. It's a cable support for the E12 bed to keep the stress off the connector. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's strange how the slicer sometimes just skips a layer somehow.
Yeah, I posted a picture to Twitter because I'm curious. I mean, I went in and played with a bunch of settings to try to get it to stop. But I mean, every time that I've ever and this block right here, this block was normal. It didn't print like a top layer through here. It only did it down the length of this. Like it actually put the top on this whole thing and then printed this rib on top of it. And I just barely flexed it, and it just peeled right off of there. It was almost like it was two different prints. And I thought, in the design that maybe I left a very small gap in there. So I went back and played with it a couple of different times, and it's not. And as soon as I put it in Cura, it was normal. It boxed this out, and the infill extended all the way up into that rib.
Yeah, I've seen errors like that also in Slicer and used Max Mixer to because when you do the analyze model in Max Mixer, you get like a pointer pointing to the error, and you get the option to auto fix it. It's similar issues I've seen with the Slicer.
Tony Ryan asked if I ran the model through NetFab or anything. Said my bet is that there's an intersecting shell error, which I could lean that way if it wasn't for the fact that 3 times and in 2 programs I designed this and it did the same thing, but it was fine in Cura.
Maybe it's not the design.
So I don't think that it's actually the file itself. I don't know that, but I mean 2 completely separate files. Like I didn't take it out of Rhino and put it into Fusion and rework it. They are literally 2 ground up, well 3 ground up designs, and it did it on both of them. So
yeah, it's strange. Yeah, I'm just reading up on chat also.
Yeah, that's how I was trying to catch up. So, but yeah, the first one of these that I did, I only put one tie point for the cable, so it was cut off like this, and I was in a hurry and I threw it up on Thingiverse, get it out to the world, and then I realized that the cable could still pivot in there, so it wasn't really doing anything. So I redesigned it quick and uploaded it before I even printed it. And then when I printed it, it had problems, and I didn't want anybody else to have problems. So.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not necessarily the best race to be the first one to get something out there.
Yeah, I've had some pretty good success over the last 6 months with, or more than that, in Fusion 360. I printed a Decora faceplate for banana plugs, and that's in use on my wall. And I just screwed it. It all went very well, and it has a cover plate. I printed a cover plate for it, designed a cover plate, electrical cover plate, printed it out. The last thing that I did that's in use is electrical quad gang decor cover plate that was designed in the live stream, and then I wrapped it with I printed it with the printed solid marble PLA, and then I wrapped it with a black inland PLA wrap to give it a different look. And yeah, there was a couple other things I designed, but I did a rubber stamp for Sherry. Printed the rubber stamp in TPO. Oh, and I designed that, so I completely forgot about that. This is my phone case. So I have a problem with my charging port on my phone. So I designed this phone case that can house my quick charger. So that's my quick charger. And I can pop it in, pop it out because it's all TPU. And then this fits in that hole there. And then I can snap it right into place. And these little lips keep it held. So that worked pretty well.
Yeah, did you print out, what did you use on the Prusa for the TPU not sticking too well on the PI sheet?
Oh my God, it stuck too well. I could barely get it off the Ultim.
Yeah, I printed a TPU print on my MK2, and the PI sheet ripped.
Yeah.
I ripped a piece of it.
It was
Right.
really bad. I used. So, do you know who Bob Ross is? I mean, he passed, but
Yeah, Bob
So-
Ross, yeah.
so that's his palette knife, and that's what I use because it's not too sharp, but it's not too dull. And I was using that to kind of force between the layers of the TPU and the bed, and that this has been working pretty well for me.
Yeah, okay.
For you guys with the Prusos, with the PEI, and anybody else for that matter, glue stick, or Tony Ryan said about painter's tape as well in the chat. When you print the TPU, it helps as an interface layer.
I'm going to knock on wood. No, I haven't actually printed TPU, but I have never put anything on the bed of my printer for anything that I've ever printed. So, but I do, before I print PETG, I spray it down with McGuire's brand. I don't know if I'm going to be able to reach it. McGuire's brand automotive glass cleaner. And I don't know if it's necessarily this brand that does it, but it lets the PET stick but peel right up when it's done.
The other thing you can do too, now you have to mess with your Z offset. Get a picture frame glass and just use binder clips and clip it to your bed too. My TPU, well, all my printers, I run glass on them and just print TPU directly to the glass. It sticks well, but then peels off and you don't really risk the damage to it. But just get a cheap piece of glass to put on there.
Does that work with when you have the pin probe?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it does, but just once.
Yeah.
It smashes the nozzle through the glass.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'll try it.
You may. I'm not that familiar with Pruso's Slicer edition. Slicer Pruso edition, I guess. I'm not sure if you can modify your start code, that you could have the printer go and level, then have it raise up, slip the glass in, and then have it go to print with the Z offset built into it. I'm not sure if you can do that in there. I know you can in Simplify and stuff.
You can put an offset. You can put an offset in the slicer, but you'd have to let it level and then hurry up and get the glass in there, and then the glass wouldn't be warm. It wouldn't preheat.
That's a good point.
Preheated the glass.
Yeah, but you do want the heated glass for printing TPU right on glass. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, maybe you could let it level and then do a filament change, like through the menu, do a manual filament change, put the glass on, let the glass get hot, and then reload the filament.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was thinking, is do a filament change or something right at the very beginning. But
you also have to stand on one leg and spin around, and it only works on days with full moon. I mean,
yeah, it would be totally.
Is it really worth going through all of that?
Yeah, blue painter's tape's a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'll try that next one. I have a GPU that I want to try out. I don't want to ruin the pad again.
Yeah, you definitely want some kind of interface between it.
Adam81 in the chat said that he put an Anycubic Ultra Base on his A8 and he loves it, and that's really exciting for me to hear because I bought one for my now AM8, and I heard a couple people. Well, and in fact, Uncle Jesse did a video about different beds for the CR10, and he hated the Anycubic base. So, but it's good to hear good feedback on it because Chuck liked it.
I would say Chuck's putting it on like every printer he owns.
Yeah, and that's why I bought it. So,
yeah.
So that's good. So,
I don't know. I had recommended to Clayton when he was testing it out on his CR10 to talk to Chuck and see what Chuck was doing for recommendations, because I know he was in the 3D printing groups quite a few times asking questions from people who've had experience with it. And I don't know if he ever did talk to Chuck. I saw his video as well saying that it basically had no luck with it at all.
Which it's possible that he got a bad one. You know, it's like,
this is true too.
It's possible there's something wrong with that, or that maybe he wiped it with something that it didn't like, or I mean, there's always a possibility. I went looking because the E12, I've been fighting extrusion skipping on the E12, and it turns out that my heat bed is bowl shaped. Like if I lay it down on a flat surface, it's not much, maybe a 0.5 millimeter off both ways. When I strap it into the printer, I can put a piece of glass, a piece of mirror, so I know that it's flat. I can rock it like this. So I'm on a quest to find a solution for that.
Yeah. Tony Ryan said, we were talking about the Prusa, and I was saying about throwing a piece of glass on it. If you go into your G code at the very beginning of it and remove the G29 command, it won't do auto leveling. Now you will have to adjust your Z on live. You'll have to make the change for the thickness of the glass that you use. But then as it starts, usually what I do to do live Z adjustments when I start a print, I'll have multiple skirts so that by the time the skirt's done, I have my bed dialed in that everything's going to stick well to it. So that's an option for those of you with the Prusa or with PEI and auto bed compensation.
Yeah, Mike just said changing the PEI and the MK2 is a huge pain in the ass, which doesn't excite me because I need to change mine.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the MK 2.5 upgrade, so then I will get a new bed. And I was watching some videos on how people were changing out the PI seat, and they were doing it in various different ways, but in all options was a painstaking adventure. So I don't look forward to having to replace it.
Doesn't acetone dissolve PEI?
Yeah, it's at a certain degree, but the problem is the glue underneath the PI sheet itself.
The adhesive, yeah.
That's the main issue to remove. And people have been taking the heat bed off and putting it in the freezer and getting the PI sheet to rip off, but then have to deal with the glue with some chemicals and all kind of magic to get that to dissolve.
Which people are using acetone to get the glue off, but if that acetone drips off the bed and gets on any of the ABS parts, it's going to start to dissolve the ABS parts.
Yeah, you almost. I think the best way to do the PEI change out is actually removing the bed from the printer to do it, so that one, I mean, if you're there with a scraper or whatever, you're not taking the risk of slipping and hitting anything. And if you do the acetone way, yeah, I wouldn't do it on the printer because of the ABS printed parts.
Yeah, I think people are in all cases taking the bed off the printer, at least for cleaning up the glue with acetone.
This is why I like using sheets of glass, easily removed. If I want to throw a piece of PEI on one side of the glass, I can. And you know what? If the worst thing I'm going to do is screw up and break the piece of glass.
Well, see, and I got that Peel Poly sheet that I won from Chris, Practical Printing's giveaway, and that's supposed to go on the E12. And I was thinking about putting it on the piece of mirror. I don't like printing on glass. I don't like that super glossy that it gives you because it's only on one side of the print. Like no other part of the print is super glossy. So I was just going to stick it to the mirror, but I can't get the mirror to lay flat either. So now GearBest will send me. I just got to send them the information. They're going to send me another bed. I just don't have faith that bed's going to be any more flat than this one. So.
Have you ever? Do you watch Impractical Engineer? Cody, I don't know how to say his last name.
I don't think so.
Check on YouTube. Now his is with the CR10, but he did a video about correcting the concave shape of the bed on the CR10. There's a print that you can get, or a model that you can download and print. That's basically a wedge with two screws with a screw in the side. You put it in underneath your bed, and then you run the screw in, and as you do it, it draws the two pieces of wedge up on each other, and it pushes up in the middle of the bed. He actually did that with one of his CR10s to get the bed. He had a concave bed, like you were saying you have, or bowl shape. It pushes up in the middle, but it goes against the bottom, the Y carriage itself.
Well, see, that's going to be an issue. I don't know what the Y carriage on the CR10 looks like. I mean, this is an H plate, but it's very thin.
Is it?
I would think any force on that at all.
Push on that.
So yeah, I mean, I've got a note on my desk to go looking to see if I can find a better Y carriage for this, because I bought the RepRap Champion one for the A8. And that thing is sweet. I mean, it's like super thick and stuff. And my pseudo brother-in-law he's a welder by trade, and they do a lot of stainless steel. And he's told me that he could cut me one, but like he doesn't have access to the CNC machines or anything like to make it perfect. And like I've tried to explain to him how like even a 0.5 millimeter can be wrong, like massively wrong. So.
Is there any modified firmwares for the E12 for like mesh leveling?
I haven't found much of anything for the E12 out there. I think that I might have the only one in existence.
I know Printed Solid did modified firmware for the CR10S that includes manual bed mesh leveling. That made a little bit. Mine never was a problem, but it is definitely a little bit concave. And that made a huge difference for me with getting consistent the whole way. Like when I printed the Friday Night logos full scale on the CR10, that made a huge difference on those first layers.
Well, I Chase, I don't want to give too much away because it's going to be in my review, but with the extruder skipping, like I can't do any print without that thing just chuck. And so the first thing that I went looking at was the Bowden tubing, which when I do release the video, you'll see like I put the filament in there. I could probably put 2 filaments in there. That Bowden tubing was so horribly oversized. So I replaced it with better tubing, and that helped, but it still didn't fix it. So I figured it was either the extruder motor was weak or the main board just wasn't putting the current out. And if you're familiar with the ANET boards at all, it's not. The only adjustment is for the Z. There's no adjustment for the extruder. So I reached out to GearBest, and they said, just send us a video of the problem and we'll send you some parts. But when I went to level the bed and get like real serious with leveling the bed, that's when I realized that there was massive problems. I could lay a straight edge diagonally across the bed like this and put like I think it was 8 sheets of paper under it one way and 4 sheets of paper under it the other way. So, you know, 0.4 and 0.8 millimeter difference between the corners and the center. So, yeah, I mean, like there's the problem. So I can level it to the corners, but as soon as it goes to print in the middle, nothing sticks and it just spews filament out. So.
Rover posted in the chat the wedge that I was talking about. It's called the Jealousy W Jack.
Oh, excellent! Jack. Good. Yeah, I've got Practical Engineering's face or YouTube pulled up right now.
I don't know if it would work for you or not. It may or may not.
Eddie Moser asked me if I want the remains of another A8. I guess that depends on how much is there. And when it comes to printers, I don't generally say no. So, yeah, reach out to me. We'll get that worked out. I want all the printers. In fact, here's how sad it is. Okay, so you see my glorious collection. And you know, I got that one up there, and I still have a brand new one in the box over here that we haven't opened yet. And right now, the only one that works is the Prusa. But that's not fair. The Robo works. I just have to figure, you know, I'm still working on the whole bed level.
The Fabricator works.
So, oh, the Fabricator Mini works if you want to wait 3 days for a chest.
Glenn, I only have one printer.
John's still slacking.
And it's a Prusa.
Yeah, look to see which one it is, exactly.
It's a Prusa. Yeah.
I'm ashamed to say my printers have sat idle for a week.
Mine have not. Mine have been busy, but I can't show you anything that I've printed other than the piece that I already did, because everything else is upcoming videos or Xander's Thing Thursdays. Yeah. So we're trying to get about a month ahead.
I'm really excited about the Xander's Thing.
Yeah, he's excited about the one this week, but we're trying to get about a month ahead so that when things come up like Murph and stuff, we don't have to panic. So. Or Flumageddon comes back around. That was awful.
Flumageddon.
Yeah, I start to feel bad if my printers are not printing for a few days. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like this week, I've been thinking all week, I need to print something. I've got those braces for the baby gate, and I got to get those printing. I got to get them printing, and just haven't had time to get around to doing it.
Yeah, I was printing out the master spools. I ordered the DAS filament from Germany, and I was been waiting for 2 weeks, and I contacted the post office, and they told me that the shipment went from Germany to Iceland via ship, and will be like in 3 weeks' time to come to Iceland. So that's I was hoping for like 3 days.
What's it cost for you to get the DAS filament to Iceland?
Yeah, I ordered two refills, and it was like $13 for shipping.
Not bad. Somebody, I forget who it was, I was talking to that's over here in the States, ordered DAS filament just for the master spool, and it was expensive to get it here in the States.
They were saying that once they got rid of the weight of that spool, that it dropped where they would be able to ship it like for $6 worldwide.
Yeah, and that hasn't happened. Not yet.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I know who that was. That was down at Printed Solid. We were talking at the meetup on this past Sunday, and it was oh shoot. Now I can't. I'm drawing a blank on the name, but one of the guys that was at the meetup printed out the master spool and ordered from DAS Filament. It was like, what was it, $35? I think in shipping. It was at least $35 in shipping just to get it over here into the States.
That's crazy. That's like two rolls of inland delivered to the house, and and a cheeseburger.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how good DAS filament is. I've never tried it, but I don't know. Like I kind of like my cheap PLAs. They do a fine job. So, but I'm a big not necessarily supporter. I guess supporter. I'm hopeful that the master spool takes off. I mean, not only should it save money. I mean, like a spool of filament should drop at least $1, but just the waste, just to get rid of that waste. I mean, I think about how many of the CD spools, from blank CDs that I threw away, because what do you do with them afterwards? And, people have come up with cute ways to use them, just like the filament spools. But I mean, you can only do so much of that.
Build a big pyramid.
Build a big pyramid. So, I mean, something's got to change. And this is good. And then who was it that somebody posted on Twitter their refill, and then Rich had said, you know, if you guys could go to 3 zip ties, here's the PDF. And then Kat chimed in and she said, yeah, that would be awesome. And I said, not only awesome, but necessary for this to work. I mean, people can't come up with their own standard. You know, they can't say, well, we're going to do ours this way.
Right.
They all have to be the same way if this is going to work.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have 10 different master spools.
It's something where, you know, going open source with it, like Richard has with the master spool, has to happen. And everybody's got to stick to it and just use the open source standard for it. I actually was thinking one of the places that would be more useful currently for a master spool type system was actually the MakerBox. If you notice, they're almost always the same diameter, unless it's the ones like Form Futura likes to package their own filaments and stuff, their own samples for MakerBox. But having a small mini master spool, and I see Glenn running off to get something.
Yeah, I was printing out the MakerBox samples just by using this spool, because you just take it together, take it apart, and put the samples on, and and it.
I was thinking something along the lines of like a mini version of it.
Yeah, the MakerBox samples and stuff are I mean, it's a small enough amount of filament that all I did was take a regular spool and cut that chunk out of there, and it does fine. Like, it doesn't hang up or anything.
Yeah, I did that prior to printing out the master spool. Just took a wedge out. So.
Well, Martin, have you put a MakerBox sample on the master spool?
Yeah.
Like, does it just drop on there, or do you got to kind of fiddle with it to get it to go?
Yeah, it was just really easy. I just dropped it out, and it was just really easy.
I say the inner diameter of the samples should be right to fit a master spool if you look at them, or close to it.
Yeah, they were pretty loose on it, so it could freely rotate on the master spool. So even though I was taking out the inner end of the filament sample, it would just rotate around on the master spool. So it didn't cost. I didn't have any problems with the samples on the master spool.
Sorry, Ron in the chat just said that my mic went low, but batteries are still good. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Oh, well, Ron's just going deaf then. He is an old
man.
He's just
messing with you.
What did he say? Just kidding.
Your mic's fine, but John's headphones are dying.
What?
Hey, I can't hear you. Hey. Well, being that the master spool fits the MakerBox, that's enough reason for me to print one now. I was holding off until more manufacturers were willing to go that way. So
yeah, it's working quite well for me. So. Well,
I hope that more of them take it seriously and go that way. And I guess I'm a little bit of a hypocrite, because here's Protopasta been putting it on cardboard spools, you know, for longer than I know 3D printing. And I don't buy Protopasta, but that's because I like my cheap filaments.
Oh man, you gotta get some of that copper that came this month.
I got it in the MakerBox. Awesome. I'm gonna print one of our Maker coins. I've never printed my Maker coin in anything but Hatchbox yellow. I mean Fun King yellow. And so I'm going to print hopefully one or maybe a couple in that copper filament and polish it up, and then I'm going to give them to somebody at Murph, like, you know, just kind of as I don't know who yet, so yeah. I guess whoever hands me the biggest amount of cash. No, I'm just kidding.
I got that MakerBox this month and saw that copper in there. I was like, "Ooh, this is cool." I started scratching at the filament sample. I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." Turn around, went to print it solid on Sunday to the meetup. I had yet to print with the copper fill, and turned around and bought an entire spool of it.
Okay.
Nice. I thought that was the one that they were talking about, that the sample was worth more than the whole box, but it turns out that it's that Owens Corning one, which is like $300 a kilo or something.
Yeah, that one definitely paid for the maker box. That sample alone is worth more than a month's box for sure.
But you know, I don't even want to print with it, because if I print with it and I'm like, this stuff's awesome, there is no way I'm paying that for filament.
It paid the maker.
Oh, Xander cut out.
Yeah, I muted him. He was over here talking about, I don't know, girls and rockets.
What?
No.
It paid for like the maker box like 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about this one.
Yeah, that's the composite copper. That stuff is cool, and it shines up like a penny too when you print it.
Yeah, okay. I still have to try it.
Tony Ryan said, no protopasta, glitter hater. No, I love, like, you know, I got the sample of the Hi-Fi blue and stuff, and we've printed a couple things with it. It's magnificent filament. It's just, I guess it's outside of my spending limit. So, you know, I truly like the cheap filaments, because I just print, like, I don't print anything super useful. I just print these little things that sit around, and
like
so
benches, like,
you know, like poop statues, you know, and
that was me.
But I like the cheap filaments. So
yeah.
I do need to increase my collection, and oh, that is beautiful, Martin.
Yeah, this is a model from a game, and this is Hi-Fi blue protopasta filament, and it's awesome coming out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And this printed out with a lot of supports, and I felt bad using all the filament in supports. And I talked about it in a video I did for this model, and then this model here is the same character. This is Hi-Fi blue, and this is filamentum vertigo gray, and filamentum gold happens, and this also is coming out excellent. And it's if you're like, I printed this out for my wife's son, and he's always buying models and characters in like a shop where they sell pre-made characters, and I told him I might be able to just print them out, and this came out excellent, those 2 models. So those filaments, even though they're pricey, if you're gonna do like an artistic model that you want to give out to somebody, it's well worth it. But you don't prototype your functional print parts with those.
Scott Wilkinson in the chat said Micro Center is closing out on their copper filament. Is that the Inland brand copper? I don't know that I've seen copper. Which brand is that at Micro Center? Is that Eastland or is that Inland?
I just know that Micro Center needs to get off their lazy butt and build one near me. I think my closest one is like Atlanta, which I can make it to Atlanta in 6 hours, but
that's, you know,
FedEx will, you know, ship it to me for free. So I don't, you know, but I'd like to have a Micro Center closer.
Inland copper. I didn't even know Inland made a copper. That's interesting.
Well,
I don't know that my local one carried that.
It's been rumored multiple times that Inland is just eSun.
It is, yeah.
I mean, do we really know that for sure, or is that like one of those? Like when I worked at Best Buy, everybody said that our Insignia TVs were made by Samsung. I can't even remember, but they weren't. They weren't. It was a lie. It was a internal rumor that went around, and the employees jumped on it. So, and I'm wondering if it's kind of that same way. I mean, do we really know for a fact? Like, has eSun ever said, yes, we make Inland?
No, and I doubt you'll ever see them do that, which is kind of like where you see, so like Pooch gets his filaments from a filament.
Hey, yeah, don't be giving out any.
I'm not giving out any secrets. he goes to a filament manufacturer and works out a recipe with them. And that filament, his filament is printed, sounds like it's changing a little bit with certain ones like the purple haze, but he basically has a recipe. He goes to him and says, how much will you make this for? And then like now with Pooch, he, Repcord, he tests the filaments before he's going to put them up on Amazon and call it his own. The story with Inland always was that Inland is made by Eson in their factories.
So it's not necessarily Eson; it's just manufactured by Eson. So like if you buy Eson yellow and you buy Inland yellow, it's not going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, it's going to be two different recipes. The base plastic is still going to be the same. The PLA, PETG, ABS, whatever. It's still the same ABS pellets and everything. They're just tweaking the colorants that they put into them. Which Inland, as I learned the last trip to Micro Center, is very inconsistent. They have like 3 different shades of white.
Wow. Well, their shade of brown is perfect for poop. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it is.
It's the perfect poop color. And Ron in the chat said, I love the Inland brown. Color sucks, but print's great. I think all the Inland PLA filaments print well, and I think that brown color is... I have a poop brown Benchy. Everybody should... It actually looks like Hershey's chocolate. So you can decide whether you want to eat it or extrude it, whatever.
Or both. You can do both. Martin, can you make me mod?
Yeah.
You might have to post something.
Yeah. Very odd.
Yeah, Adam81 said there's 2 micro centers near Atlanta, and I'm thinking I'm driving right through Atlanta on the way to Murph, so I might have to, need fuel or something right then.
You got to make it a whole scenery tour. You got to stop at Fry's, because isn't there a Fry's somewhere in Atlanta too?
Yeah, yep, there sure is.
That's what I want up here. Micro Center's close enough, about 45 minutes away. I want a Fry's.
Well, it's funny because a friend of mine went up there and he texted me. He's like, dude, they have this store called Fry's. And I'm like, I've been in a Fry's. Oh, it's so amazing. They have Arduinos. And I'm like, what? Because Fry's to me was like a little tiny, almost like a music type store and stuff in the mall 100 years ago. But apparently that's not what it is anymore. So I might have to check that out. Maybe that'll be on the way back. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have to. I don't know of any stores in Iceland selling anything related to 3D printing, so I have to order everything overseas.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't have anything local to me that I can. At least not that I know of. I did find out that Melt Ink, I think that's who it is. Melt Ink is made right down in Miami, and I actually reached out to them and they sent me a roll for review. I just haven't done it yet. But apparently their PLA is made for, he said when I test it, do a part that needs to be durable. And I thought, well, that's pretty much everything I make. So.
Now, is that something different than their typical PLA that you got from them? Or is that just their PLA?
No, it's their regular PLA. Give me a second. Let me grab it.
See, I'd be interested for that with my camera slider, because right now I'm about to hit up Protopasta carbon fiber. I'll probably start that. I don't know. I might start it tonight. I don't know. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow morning.
Are you using the HTPLA carbon fiber?
I don't know.
All right, again, I'm going to be doing a review on this, so I don't want to be giving too much away, but it's a PLA PHA. Prints at 220 to 230 degrees Celsius. Made in the USA, and it comes super, super vacuum packed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have high hopes for this. Their orange or their yellow is a little bit more orangey than Fun King yellow, but it'll be interesting. I look forward to trying it out.
And here's what I got. This is the carbon fiber. It's just straight up PLA.
I wonder, are you using your camera slider outside and stuff too, or?
The intent, I will do that, but you know, it's not going to get much use because it's a friggin' beast. You know, it's 8 feet long and weighs about 100 pounds.
My only fear would be transporting it and leaving it in the car.
Yeah,
it's not going to fit in a car.
Well, I mean, my thought though is here, even in the wintertime, 10 minutes of the car being in the sun and it's 1,000,000 degrees inside. So
oh crap! Yeah, yeah, you're right. Shit, it's going to be in the back of my truck going to Murph. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think I would
might want to consider something different than PLA for that. PETG maybe, or
the only problem that I've run into with PETG is it's too flexible for certain things. Like I love to print in PETG, but like I printed cable chains with it, and they were just like they would just fall apart. They were so.
What they do?
They just
they did.
Yo, they just fell apart.
Hey, I'll be right back again.
So I tried PETJ one time, and the layers weren't sticking together. So, what's the temperature for PETJ?
Temp tower.
I have not printed a temp tower yet.
The only PETG I've used is Hatchbox, because again I started with Fun King Yellow, and so everything on the AM8 is actually printed in PETG. But I printed at initial layer 245, and then it goes to 250 with a 90-degree bed, and it works really well for me. But again, that's Hatchbox.
90-degree. Wow.
90-degree bed. The bed may not need to be that hot, but I got that setting from Slicer Prusa edition. That was their default for PETG, and I tried it. It worked. If something generally works for me, I don't mess around to try to find something else that works for me. I just go with that. So.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony Ryan says that he prints inland PETG at 237. But see, I couldn't do that. I either have to print at 235 or 240. My OCD will not allow 237.
Yeah. It's not a prime number. It's
no, it has to be
prime number
on the fives.
Yeah, I've been using the Prusa Slicer edition for the Matter Hackers Pro PETG. That is set to 245 and 90 on the bed.
Listen to you big name dropper, using up the Pro Matter Hackers.
Yeah.
I have to try their filament. I have to admit that I have a really hard time paying like $40 a roll for filament when I know that I could buy it for, and I could buy filament for $23. And people have said, oh, you got to try it. It's great. And listen, I love the people at Matter Hackers. It's nothing against them because it's not just them. I'm just cheap.
Well, they have $23 filament now.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to jump on that.
I bought like 6 rolls of that. It's good stuff.
I'm kind of hoping that I could talk Mara or Dave into sending me or bringing me just a very small sample of their yellow so I could see the shade of it. I don't want to order a whole roll and then find out that it's not, Fun King yellow enough.
That's more manufacturers need to have samples.
Like that material set that went out in the maker box. That was so awesome. I had been screaming about that since I started 3D printing, that they needed to have samples. Even if they just gave you like a 3-inch piece of each color. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah, sorry. This is the Matter Hackers Build Series yellow. And I'm not sure if the color is very good on this webcam, but...
well, the color on this monitor sucks, so I can't really...
difficult to...
Well, let me ask you, have you ever used Hatchbox as yellow?
No, I haven't.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is there a Pantone code on that?
No.
Okay. I mean, some manufacturers use a Pantone code, which would, give us an idea. But I don't know. I'm hoping that I can talk, Dave or Mara into, just like a 2-inch piece or whatever, so I could compare it. So
there's one number here that says PLA/175/Y. I don't know if that's a Pantone code.
no, it's 1.75 millimeter.
Yellow, yeah.
In yellow.
Yeah.
Mystery solved.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah.
That's all right, Martin. We'll let it slide. It's late there.
Yeah. I'm like almost hangover of. Yeah, but I ordered one spool of Matrax Pro series and one spool of the build series and one of the patchy, and I'm just using it to create content on my channel, doing filament reviews.
What does that say about me when you're willing to pay the shipping to get it all the way to Iceland, and I can get it shipped for free, and I still won't buy a $40 roll? I'm just cheap. I'm poor.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that I need to buy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to try out as much as possible, and sometimes with maker box samples you get good results, and you want to print a little bit more than you can with small samples, and then I buy a roll if it ships to Iceland. That's my main problem. It's not many companies that ship to Iceland, so that's something I have to work with.
Well, Martin, if you ever run into a situation, you can always have it shipped to one of us, and then we can ship it to you. You just have to eat that shipping cost. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So, if we can do outros really quick, this kid's tired and wants to go to bed, and I'm in favor of that. So,
yeah. So, from my side, Glenn Sander, you start.
All right. So for everybody out there who doesn't know who we are, I am Glenn.
I'm Xander.
And together we are FunKing3D. We are a father and son team that does 3D printing and electronic projects. Hope to do more electronic projects in the near future. One of the big projects that we have coming up, we have decided to print a full-size R2-D2 functional, like remote control. I'd like it to be autonomous, but I don't think that's going to happen. Xander does his Xander's Thing Thursday, every Thursday at 12. Little secret, he really does it on Saturday mornings ahead of time. We also had good success lately with our Mailbag Monday stuff. People have been sending us incredible gifts.
Like dreadlocks.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind how amazing our followers are and the cool stuff that they send us.
Like dreadlocks.
Like what? Like dreadlocks, yes. And banners and broken stained glass. God, that just killed me. We do have some more 3D printing stuff coming up other than the R2-D2, so that's cool.
We do?
Anything else?
I don't know.
Oh no. He's just tired and wants to go to bed. So I guess that's all from us.
Yeah, thanks. Then Matt, you're next.
I'm Matt from How I Do It. You can follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/howidoit. On Twitter, I'm @CountryCowboy. Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everywhere else. It's just Matthew Flinchbowl. All the links for that stuff's down in the description. The next Friday night stream is going to be March 23rd, sorry.
Murph, right?
What was that?
It's Murph.
Yeah, the weekend of Murph. So we might have a smaller crowd for the co-hosts for that stream. We'll kind of play it by ear. Might be a bye week. We'll try not to do that, though. Maybe we can get a couple people together at Murph to join in. I think last year, quite a few people who were at Murph joined in on Friday night just for a few minutes, because usually the parties at Murph are pretty loud. So we'll still shoot for it, and keep an eye on, if you want to keep up with the Friday night streams, where they're at, since they do change channels week to week. On Twitter, follow the @F3DPCH Twitter account. And in addition to that, there is Friday night 3D printing community hangout swag. over on Merch Minion. We have a store over there for t-shirts, sweatshirts, and stickers. That money will be going to help market the Friday Night 3D Printing Community Hangouts. And you also, I'm sure John will probably get to this as he's talking. John's going to be at MRF, and at IRF set up. Half his table is going to be for the Friday Night Hangouts. And personally, I want to thank him for the time and effort that he's put into that, and will continue to put into that. I think it's awesome that the community is willing to help promote the Hangouts. So that's pretty much it. The other places you can follow the Friday Night Hangouts is on Twitter. There's the F3D PCH public Twitter account, our Twitter group. And then if you're interested in streaming, there's the F3D PCH
Facebook, not Twitter. Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. I'm sorry. Facebook groups. F3D PCH streamers is where we discuss ahead of time who's hosting. Occasionally we discuss topic a little bit. So if you're interested in streaming, join there. Now we do ask, that's a private group because that's where we post this Hangout link to get onto the stream. So we do ask a couple of questions. We're primarily looking that you're known in the 3D printing community, and that's mainly so we don't let somebody onto one of the co-host or one of the hosting channels channel and ruin their or risk ruining their family-friendly rating. So we do ask what your involvement is in the community. So I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thanks. And John?
Hi, I'm John. That's it. No, I'm kidding. So, can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah, so this is part of what I'm doing, but I need everybody to send me logos.
Oh,
So,
John, sorry, I totally forgot, brother.
This took me a long time to do, and it would probably take me about 20 minutes a person to go find the logos and a headshot. So send me your logo, send me your headshot. Just DM me on Twitter, or you can email me. But the best way is to DM me on Twitter, not in our dark Twitter, but in a separate DM directly to me, so I can have traceability to the logo. It'll really help me out. So I really can't spend time looking for the logos I want. There's so many people who I want to include. I just don't have the time to do it.
Dude, my stuff is so easy to find. You can't take 20 minutes out of your day so that I don't have to take 5 minutes out of mine.
He kills me. Yeah. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. I need to design a nice background for something that's really cool. Has anybody received Merch Minion shirts yet? Because I ordered mine like a month ago and I haven't received anything yet.
I ordered mine actually the day that the page went live. It wasn't officially live yet, and I ordered mine. I know she was a little bit back ordered due to Kat actually stepped up and really did me a favor to get everything up and going for the 1 year stream.
Yeah.
But at that same time, unknown to me, she was actually in the process of completely relocating their shop.
Yep,
so
that's cool.
It's a little bit of a backlog there. And just real quick, something for your project for MRF and everything for the advertisements. Best way to look at it is if you want to get your logo in with Friday Night Hangouts. I mean, part of the whole reason we have this Hangout is to help exposure for the smaller channels as people are joining into the community and starting to become a content creator. So if you want to, it's sort of look at it as kind of free advertisement for your channel. Just got to send a logo, high-res logo over to John, and he'll get you added to it. So
by this weekend, because I need to get this order in by Sunday night. So that
I did get my high-res logo over to you, right?
You did. Yeah, I think it's on here, isn't it?
It is. I wasn't
No,
sure
it was on there.
if you had mine before. I sent
But
it to you.
your headshot's not on there, so send me a headshot.
Okay.
Because I could take one right now, but no, send me a good one.
All right.
Because I mean, you look good there, but you probably want to like wear a tux, put on some lipstick, you know.
Rover is asking in the chat for me to send my old video hangouts to him. DM me on Twitter. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Sorry, John. I didn't mean to cut into your outro.
Nope, it's all good. So anyway, I think everybody pretty much knows where you can find me, but just in case, you.do.it on Twitter, or you_, what am I? I am you_do_it on Twitter, and you.do.it on Instagram. I mainly focus on YouTube, but I started switching over to Twitch lately. I'm not abandoning YouTube at all. Just I want to kind of diversify some. So that's why I keep asking, if you just do me a solid and follow me. It may sound like, I'm begging. I'm begging. once I get to 50, things will be better. Which I'm only 23 away now.
So everybody go sub to John on Twitch, or follow John on Twitch. Even if you don't have a Twitch, create one.
I was going to say, John needs to post a link to his Twitch.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
I did earlier, but I'll do it again.
A lot of us are lazy and don't want to go looking it up. I think I already follow you, but,
I'm pretty sure I do. I'm going to have to double check.
Yeah. I was begging, like, we were playing PUBG last night, and I was begging my friend's mom to, like, would you please just create an account? It was really funny. Mike was in there, and Ron, I think, you were in there last night too, right? Watching. So, good stuff. I think Sean was in there too. All right, so quick question, technical details, and then I'll yield. So I'm trying to print this part. Should I go like 20% infill, or should I go 50% infill for strength?
What, for your slider?
Yeah, for the end.
What size camera are you putting on it? A DSLR or mirrorless?
Eventually, it'll be something that's 20-some pounds, because that's what camera equipment pretty much is.
You might want to step up the infill then, especially depending on your material selection. Like if you go with PLA, I'd definitely step up the infill just to give it some rigidity to heat. More infill, it'll get less flexible, but definitely don't go something like 100%. That's overkill.
So 50% is sufficient?
Yeah, definitely. And for strength, it's more useful to have like 3 or 4 parameters.
Yeah, increase your shell.
Yeah, the shell thickness is much more important.
Yeah,
your shell thickness is going to give you your rigidness. The infill will help you if you're in a warm area. It's going to help to support those shells so they don't want to sag in.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm going to do my outro. Yeah, but you're on my channel here, 3DP Iceland. Since you're here, you can find me on this channel. But, on Twitter, I'm at 3DP Iceland, and also on Patreon at 3DP Iceland. So that's my online presence for 3D printing related stuff. So since you're here, you know how to find me. But I've been doing a lot of landscape prints and painting those prints. Lately, I've been also doing some projects around 3D printing, and also doing reviews of filaments and several things. So I have on the way a filament from Colorfab, the Lux filament, the new filament, and that is the first filament or item that is sent to me without me having to pay for it. So that's a milestone for my channel that I'm reaching, to have manufacturers send me something. So I'm
congrats on that.
Quite happy with that to get something to without having to pay. But I probably have to.
Especially an $80 roll of filament. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was with shipping. One roll was like $135 if I would order it one roll from their website. So.
That's one steak for me over here in the U.S.
Yeah, so it's quite nice to get that one. Yeah, but that's me and my channel. So.
And for everybody in the chat, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Give Martin a like for this. One of the benefits to the Friday Night Hangouts is, as of recent with YouTube, interaction's good, but now for anybody trying to monetize, the Friday Night Hangouts, for all you guys who stick around for the 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours that we sit and shoot the shit, you guys are helping to push some of these channels to be able to monetize their other videos as well.
Not with language like that. No monetization now.
Yeah. 2.5 hours in, I think we're good.
Yeah, it will count up, even though this particular video won't monetize. It will count as view hours. So
yep.
Yeah. So.
Out of curiosity, where are you with your viewing time, Martin?
Yeah, I'm out of the 4,000 hours. I'm like 1,900 or something like that. So I have quite a lot of viewing hours to go.
Well, halfway. So that means that the almighty watching warriors out there need to pull up your channel and loop it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
These guys. I was about half when they made the announcement, and these guys did it for me. They watched like 120,000 hours worth of my videos in 20-something days. So
wait, so you made it?
I made it. I made it with like
so all that effort worked, huh?
I like 5 days to spare. No, my followers are awesome. They're just amazing. They were
that's cool.
They were watching my stuff at work. They were watching my stuff at home. Sometimes at the same time.
I watched it a lot.
I'm watching some of your guys' content right now.
Yeah, it's yeah. You have to put up a server farm at work and spin up virtual machines and have them loop my channel.
Yeah, I think it's funny. The whole reason YouTube said they did that is because of the clone accounts. People are just going out, downloading other people's videos and then reposting. So somebody with 1,000 subscribers has to now have 4,000 views. What happened to, if my account hasn't ever been dinged for reposting? Like, what happened to that metric?
Yeah, no, 4,000 hours of watch time.
Yeah.
Which is 240,000 minutes of watch time in a year. And what was crazy is, like, my channel's not a year old. So here's partnership. Oh, we're taking it away because somebody else did. Right. They should have evaluated and looked to see, okay, this channel has never done anything wrong. We're going to continue with them. And I don't want to say too much bad about YouTube. It's got its flaws, and every once in a while, one of my videos will get tagged as a demonetization. And I click the little button for review, even though it doesn't have the 1,000 views yet, and they put it back. So as far as that's going, it's fine. But it did hurt, and it not even just the monetization side of it, but the partnership side of it. So
yeah, what did you say is 240,000 minutes?
240,000 minutes.
So I had 177,521 minutes in the last 365 days.
Yeah, you need a group of warriors.
I need some videos is what I need.
that does help. Regular content definitely helps the channel.
Yeah, talking about the old system and the new system took over, the same day I reached the old limit, they sent an email out saying that we have changed the rules and your channel will not be monetized. It was the same. I was like, whoa, I'm getting there, and then no.
That would be like hitting the 100,000 sub mark, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna send you your plaque." Oh no, we changed it. Now you have to have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just dirty pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ron said we need to publish long videos so that they can be looped.
Yeah.
Well, the Friday night streams usually are pretty long videos, and they count.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the thing: you go into somebody's YouTube channel, you click on videos, and it pulls them all up. There is a play all button, and then there is also a shuffle and a repeat, like the loop, and it will just run forever.
Yep.
Forever.
Yeah, it's not like Netflix. It doesn't come up and say, "Are you still awake?"
Nope.
No, I'm not.
So yeah, like I think I might be watching some of your videos at my work right now. And I don't even work there. I work here.
Can you do it on your own videos? Does it know your account is watching?
It'll know your IP and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're logged in, not necessarily by IP, because you could be in an office environment where somebody else is watching your stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But you just can't be logged into your own account. But
Exactly.
but if you're excessively watching your own stuff from your own IP, I think they're going to figure it out. They're not stupid.
Yeah.
So.
I sent a tweet out. Matt, could you reply? Whatever, retweet.
You tag me or Friday night hangouts?
The F3D PCH.
Okay.
Like maybe throw in your lingo, like, hey, it's free exposure, whatever.
Yep. Yeah.
And then, I don't have Vicky's. Do I have Tess's?
You don't have one for Tess? You should have. I sent that to you last sometime a week ago.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah, I'm retweeting that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron also said in the chat, James length vids, because James from Print and Play does like these 12 and 20 hour live streams.
Yeah.
John Mack said use a VPN. That would definitely work. And get like a free IP hop and VPN, and then
hide your trail.
I mean, they're typically really slow, but who cares as long as it's pulling your content. And do not play the videos at an increased speed. If you play it at 2 times, you're only going to get half of the credit.
You know what? I never even gave that a thought, but that's a very good point.
If you watch a 10-minute video at double speed, you're only going to get 5 minutes worth of watch time. But now if you watch it at half speed, it will double it.
No, that's true. But the benefit in that case is that you potentially have the chance for more views. So you're still going to get the same amount of watch time, right?
No,
not on one video, but you're still getting the same watch time.
No, because if you have, say you have 30 hours of video total on your channel and you watch it at 2 times, you're only getting 15 hours of watch time.
Yeah, but
you'll get the watch count, but that doesn't matter.
That's right. But if you have it on a loop,
you need the minutes, right?
Yeah,
if you have it on a loop.
No, my point is that you then increase the views.
Right. If you're looping, then it really doesn't matter because you're gonna up the watches and also. Yep. I mean, 24 hours in a day, you're going to have 24 hours of watch time.
Exactly. Yeah, so, that's my point. So,
or 48 or 96, depending on how you're doing it.
In one regard, it hurts your metrics for a particular video, but in the other hand, it's total watch time on your channel.
The metrics you're still getting credit for complete watch, full retention.
Yep.
I don't know if it hurts
it shows
that way. I just know that you don't get the credit for it.
Half. It shows the metric is half. When you look at the chart, it shows
there you go.
So if it's an 18-minute video, it only shows you 9.
Yeah. I'm sure half of what we're talking about right now does not interest anybody in the chat. So
It probably leads to demonetization.
it's like help us.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So anybody in the chat have like questions? Anything that you guys want to know?
I want to, while we're waiting on the chat to respond, say thank you to Martin for hosting again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I decided yesterday when I posted the about the stream and the links and everything that were Martin's wake-up call.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I love to take part on like we were discussing. It's
Glad to have you. It was a good topic, good discussion.
Yeah, for those who don't know, what time is it where you are, Martin?
Yeah, it's 5:38 in the morning.
In the morning, yes.
Yeah.
Which means we started at what, 2 for you?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
It's going to be we're springing forward, so it's going to be 6-hour difference.
Well, we don't spring forward till tomorrow night.
Yeah, so tomorrow night it'll be 6-hour difference, right? Until you spring forward.
Yeah, is it summertime changed for you?
It changes now for us this weekend, but when does it change for you?
Yeah, we don't have summertime, wintertime. It's GMT 0 all year long.
Oh, okay.
They have there's darn Americans.
Yeah,
we mess with everything.
Florida is looking at opting out of this whole time change thing. We're going to be like Indiana, where we just don't change.
That's all right. We're looking at opting out Florida, so
that's all right too. Maybe then I could stop paying taxes.
Yeah, I got a question here from Tony. What folks did folk in Iceland do before the internet? And I just told him we ran around pillaging Europe because we were Vikings.
Wait, you're a Viking? Are you really a Viking?
Sorry, what?
Are you a Viking?
Yeah, Icelandic people are Vikings.
Well, yeah, John, did you not know that the Vikings named Iceland and Greenland, but yet Greenland is completely covered in ice because they didn't want people to come to Iceland.
I was going to say, they did that to confuse people, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So they would all go to Greenland thinking that it's going to be so beautiful, and, you know, it's really Iceland.
Joke's on you. Our high school teachers taught us that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also a theory that they were like drunk, pillaging and raping and going around, and they were so drunk they mixed up which country was what. So that's another.
Wait, that really happened?
The Vikings were crazy. So.
And I would think that the people in Iceland before the internet, they probably just stood around looking at how beautiful the scenery is.
Yeah.
They're probably like, this is so gorgeous. Right? We could just stare at this all day. And then somebody said, hey, there's internet. And they're like, what? And then that was it. It was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scott Wilkinson asks, would like to hear more about Murph from veterans. Well, that wouldn't be me. I've never been.
Me neither.
Were you there last year, John?
Negative.
Ask that next the next stream.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next year. I mean, I've watched videos. It looks amazing. I picture it as a big building with just a bunch of people standing around chit chatting, but I guess it is more like a trade show setup, but with less retail, as I understand it. Like, it's not really people selling stuff. It's and the fact that it's all 3D printing, that's what excites me. Like, all the people there are going to be 3D printing people. And if any of you guys out there are going and you see me, please approach me. And I'll tell you right now, I suck with names. So
I'm John.
I thought your name was Dave. I thought your name was Regor.
Yeah, what's up with the Facebook name Regor?
That's my Viking name.
Yeah. Okay. It got me really confused at first because I know you as John on Twitter, on the Hangouts,
and then he's backwards Roger.
Yeah, he's lucky I don't call him Roger.
That's my middle name, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I was talking with my wife today because, you know, she's my paparazzi. She's going to be the one that takes all the photos and stuff. And I was trying to come up with a way, because I want a lot of selfies with everybody. You know, like everybody that I meet, I want to have a selfie with them. But I do suck with names. I'm really bad with names. So I'm trying to come up with some way without having to like write a note every time I take a selfie with somebody. So what I'm thinking is just going to have to happen is I'm going to take them all. I'll just post them, and then everybody can say, "Oh, that's me," and then I can put a name to the photo.
Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, I'll remember some of you, and the ones that I don't remember, please don't take it offensively. It's just the way my brain is. So I can tell you what I ate at what restaurant on what day and what year, but I can't remember people's names.
Yeah, when I introduce myself to people who I don't know, I'm usually like, "Hi, I'm an asshole," and then I wait for the reaction. And half of the people say back to me, "I'm an asshole too. It's all right."
No, see, when I say that to people, they usually go, "Yeah, I know."
Is that a separate of AA? Yeah, so yeah, as far as Murph goes, I'm a couch veteran of Murph. I sat on the couch last year watching all the videos and live streams of Murph and wishing I would have gotten in a vehicle and driven there. And I'm going to be doing that this year.
Yeah, last year for me, I wasn't into 3D printing at that time, so I didn't even know it existed. So
Same here, yeah. Wilkinson said, slap a name tag on them for selfies. Maybe I'll get one of those boards, like a mugshot board.
Yeah, please write your name on the photo.
I'll hold it up. Little chalkboard or a whiteboard.
See, if you print it on glass, Glenn, you could print a name tag that the backside's shiny smooth, and then use dry erase markers. So each time you take a picture with somebody, have them hold it up, and after they wrote their name on it.
Yeah, right.
You're like, "Oh, can I have your autograph?" Good. Now hold this so we can do a selfie.
And then you wipe it off in front of them.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got to get somebody else's autograph.
Oh, there you go. Mike's got a good idea, Glenn. Do short video selfies instead,
and have them actually say their name.
Yeah.
Well, consider the video that you might be shooting from. So, like,
that's actually that's a
4K video.
Yeah.
Yeah, video is probably just as good as a photo.
It'd be like, you know, "Hey, it's Glenn and Xander, and we're here with, what was your name again?" "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
What was your name again?
If you saw Joel's intro video, he was meeting people at some conventions, and he just asked people, "Please tell us your name and what do you do?" And people got a chance to say their name and what they were doing.
Just don't do that to anybody who watches the Friday night streams.
Yeah, it's a trade secret.
I have made it publicly known that I suck with names. It's just the way it is. So yeah, Mike, Never Let the Machines Win, said the same thing. Do a short video selfie instead.
Yeah,
because I was just going to take the images and turn them into a video anyway, so she could shoot a short video and then stop it and take a snapshot, and I could have the best of both worlds.
There you go.
So that's a good plan. Thank you, guys.
I like Tony Ryan's Murph equals nerds.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I'm a little more geek level, but yeah, definitely.
Oh, Glenn, you know what else you could do too?
What's that?
Since your wife's going to be taking the pictures for you, you could have her introduce herself to them and ask them what their name was, and then when they turn around, have her write it down in the order that you take the pictures.
Yeah, but the problem with that is like a lot of times, like you might take like multiple snapshots or different angles or whatever. So then we'd have to remember, okay, well, there's 3 pictures for that person. and again, it's not that I want to hide it. I've already made it known. I suck with names. So I mean, I don't have any problem admitting that. You know, like I try, like each one of my live streams, if I see a new person, I'll say, hey, if you don't mind sharing your first name, I'd like to have your first name. I may not remember it, but I'll try. And then I work really hard to remember like 2 people per live stream. So, and I've done pretty good. And then there's certain, what's that?
No, good.
Well, there's certain people that like, they don't want to share their name. They just want to be called by their, you know, like Pooch or, you know, Repcord. You know, they're like, oh, you can just call me. And it just feels weird. I like names. I like it to be more personal.
Yeah, and his name is Alan, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, or Keith. It could be Keith, because Joe Mike did call him Keith on one of these Friday night hangouts.
Okay.
He's like, how about you, Keith? And everybody's quiet, like, who the hell is Keith?
It's like with Laura and that was quite funny.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think I'm going to call it quits.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I think it's.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, I think it's a good stream.
All right, well, I'm going to go for another hour or so.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah. I drank a Coke before this started, so I'd have some energy.
Yeah, 3D PCH after show is going to be hosted by FunKing3D.
Yeah. Martin's going to click the button, and then I'll be off the line. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just leave the stream running, and you can ramble on for 5 hours. And
I could do it too. I could talk to myself for that long. But no, I got a lot of filming to do in the morning anyway. So that's Xander and I now film pretty much everything for the week on Saturday mornings, so that it doesn't take up half my week. So, but
yep.
Yeah, so thank you guys for joining, and everybody who was watching in the chat, and I really appreciate those likes and subs that you did on the channel while we were streaming, and making those minutes count on the YouTube system.
Yeah,
yeah, like my boy Zach always does, you know.
Yeah.
Click that thumbs up.
Yeah. Exactly. So thanks everyone, and
yeah.
See you in the next stream or video.
See
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for joining.
Bye now.